the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, won't you let the light shine through?
Right. Oh my god, I keep...
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for you.
One. Cool. Welcome everybody to the BUSR LMU series live on YouTube. I'm here today with myself, Meet the Teacher, and my friend and colleague Raul Yagis to my right. Raul, tell me what's going on with the season so far, because I'm brand new to this, so I haven't any context. So go on, give me a
No
hit.
worries. So right now we're in round 3. We had technical issues for round 2, which is why we didn't have a stream up.
Mhm.
But so far for round 2, we had for the LMP2s, Willow Harris take the win at Imola
Okay.
and pole position as well, followed by Doleski and Teroka.
Okay.
We only had 3 drivers in the LMP2 for Imola. But for
Interesting.
the GT3s, we had 5 drivers with Hayden Baxter, Nikita Kurev taking 1 and 2,
Mhm.
followed by Costa and Luke Sawyer P4 and John
Luke Sawyer
Feynman
P4.
for P5. Yes.
Okay. Very interesting. I'm hoping stream's not lagging right now. It looks like it's lagging in the corner, but that's because I'm looking at a spreadsheet. It's pretty much, from what I'm seeing then, we've got a good mixture of drivers throughout the entire season and other racing series. So we've seen Luke Sawyer previously in AC and F1, but as of recently, he's now currently into LMU for that Triple Crown, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he is aiming for the Triple Crown, but so far looks like he's looking strong in F1. Same with LMU, but
Okay.
he does need a little bit more pace to close up between Hayden Baxter and Nikita Kurev to take the.
I sat down the other day as I've currently just like moved house and sorting stuff for this. I watched Hayden as you were commentating with Raltram, and I thought he was just gunning it for that win in the first round previous. But then I know he had a little bit of a traffic situation, and that's a big thing with these LMU cars, isn't it? How much they get caught up in the GT3 traffic.
Yeah, traffic, as we see, it did play a factor when the LMP2s caught up eventually to the GT3s. Obviously, last season we had a different vehicle for the prototype class. We had the LMDH, and now we've moved on to the LMP2s. So closing speeds are slower. They catch later on during the race, but it is more difficult to navigate for the LMP2 drivers to overtake these GT3 cars.
Do you think as well, with it being LMP2, we'll see a difference in standing, or do you think it'll just be the same as what round 1 kind of sufficed like?
I'd say there's some drivers that suffered consistency-wise, as we've seen in the first round. We had Tiroka and Zuba made contact into Lecom, which cost them essentially the race, which allowed Harris to go from third straight to first and run away with the win.
And we know
But
with we know with Lacom as well, isn't it? It's such a headache if you lose it there. But I think today we're at Barcelona, aren't we?
Yep, we've moved on from Spa, then going on to Imola, and now we're here in Barcelona. This quite a technical circuit. We have that big front straight, long corners, and heavy braking zones. So I'm quite excited to see overtaking moves, especially into turn 1, maybe on the outside or inside of turn 3 if they get a good run on someone.
Well, I mean, I'd love
yeah.
to see like some side-by-side action, to be honest. If we could get a little bit of a traffic situation, to be honest, the best drivers will work their way through it. But with Barcelona as well, and you'll find this quite funny, Rob, because I think you're in the same boat. We're feeling the Barcelona heat in the UK right now. And so whatever they're in theory feeling on track, we're feeling in real life. So as we're commentating today, guys, think about how hot it is for us and how we're watching the hottest race on the series. But pretty much then, Raul, should we get rolling and have a look at what's going on in qualifying?
Yeah. So far, we have 2 GT3 cars in qualifying at the moment. We're just 5 minutes in, so they're starting their laps. No tire warmers, by the way, so they had to navigate their first few laps to just warm up the tires and get the pace out. But so far, we have John Binder starting his laps.
Yeah, so let's hop on board with him, shall we, as he's coming round. Raul, do you want to take this?
Yeah, let's go on. So we're here at start straight, very long straight. You want to get your setup to be balanced for this straight. And then he takes the inside curb, just turns in down to second gear, get that inside curb, set yourself up as well for turn number 2 and 3 here. You want to get as close to the inside as you can for this turn 3 corner because you don't really want to wash out wide and lose time on that exit. And you don't want to lift. But under the bridge here, you braking down to second gear, turning in, you want to stay as close as possible on the inside all throughout the corner and set yourself up for this next hairpin. You don't want to lock your tires up into this corner, which will send you wide. And like we see, John Binder very wide there onto the gravel. Probably got too eager on the gas, and that might be lap ruin for him.
Yeah, it looks like it may have invalidated.
Yeah, it's a long qualifying. Even though he has 4 minutes left, he should have enough time to complete another one. But so far, Costa with a 1:44.447, which is 1.6 seconds ahead of John Binder at the moment.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of different speeds here. I mean, we could swap to Alex Costa now if I can get my numbers correct. And currently, he's pretty much nailed that corner that John didn't just there. So I think this is going to be quite interesting, isn't it, Ro?
Yeah. Like we said, these drivers are dealing with the heat that we are experiencing right now, so that will play into the race, especially with how important consistency is in these long races. You just want to keep it clean throughout the race, but definitely in qualifying with the grid being split up for the GT3s and LMP2, we do have split qualifying where the GT3s go out first and spend about 10 minutes to finish their lap. So we're coming up to the time where you want to set those fast lap times and get pole position.
Well, it's currently looking good here from Alex Costa. He's pretty much set a quite solid lap there, coming down to around a 1:43.1. And as we're kind of circling around here, we've got John trying to get a last-minute lap in. What I'm noticing as well, Raul, coming from the fact that it's a split qualifying, they're heating up the track, really, aren't they, for these LMPs? They're making it so much more grippier for everyone else in this contest. And so I wonder if LMP will actually go quicker than anticipated compared to, let's say, practice.
Oh yeah, track evolution definitely plays a part for the LMP2s, but at the same time, it is just important to get the lap right. You don't want to run wide in some of these corners and get your lap invalidated, because
Yeah.
the most important thing is just to get that lap through, get the lap in, and then see if you can improve on it more and more throughout the session. But yeah, the LMP2s will definitely have a little bit more as John B goes wide again on the exit of the penultimate corner.
Yeah,
That's his lap
it's
ruin once
very
again.
unlucky. When it comes to John, he's slightly slipping up. And to be honest, this is now his final lap. He's only got a minute 40 to kind of get this set. And right now his tyres are looking a bit dense. His movement through the corners has been quite shaky, hasn't it, Ra?
Yeah, John B, quite a decent driver. He has pace on his day, but looks like he's struggling with the consistency of just getting the lap together and putting the lap time on the board. But he's not far off from Costa, considering that track evolution is ramping up. So I think he just needs to get the lap together, just get a clean lap, set lap time, get closer to Costa here, and maybe he's within a shout to get pole position. He's only 1.3 seconds behind.
With John as well, if he could just keep it together, it will grip up because he's getting that extra lap in. Plus with Sieg as well, he's fully committing to the corners, trying to get the high revs by switching to a lower gear than, to be honest, what most people would do in a GT3. But he is racing in other series, gotta give John that credit. He is also in AC as well. I'm unsure if he's in F1, I believe he's just doing AC alongside. And those are two very different cars with the GT86 versus McLaren GT3 car here we're seeing today.
Yeah, he must be wondering why the 86 is that much slower compared to his McLaren. But I think just getting used to it, even in qualifying, you can use these this session, these laps, even though it's for pole position, you can use these as your practice laps, as people who didn't really get practice in, just to get used to the car again. And see if he can set a lap time, which we've seen an improvement. He's now 9/10 behind, and the LMP2 cars are coming out here, so he just needs to pull to the side and qualifying over for him, which means Costa is going to take pole position with a 1:43.134.
I mean, I have just come to a realization, so sorry for the people who are watching the broadcast. I forgot to put the LMU audio in, so apologies if you didn't hear the car. So when there's gaps with the engines, that's where we're talking. But that's it, isn't it, for GT now, I believe?
Yeah, that should be it. Alex Costa and John Binder seems like the only two drivers driving the GT3s right now, which is surprising because usually for LMU, we have GT cars as the main turnout for this event.
Yeah, but I mean, let's talk Barcelona while we're waiting on some cars here. Pretty much when we're looking at the cars currently in game, we're trying to see what is different between these two. Where are they messing up? And to be honest, I noticed with John, especially compared to Alex, Alex is just trying to get a clean lap consistently. I'm just trying to get to swap. There we go. So now we can see the LMs are on board. So if you would like to commentate this round once Michael gets around.
Yeah, we have our race organizer racing here today, actually. Mike. He's one of the LMP. He chose to drive one of the LMP2s as he's always been vocal that he does like these cars. But so far he's just trying to get the practice in. Because he wasn't really expecting to be driving here today. But yeah, for these LMP2 cars, they're much faster and you can brake later, clip that apex much differently because these cars do react worse, in my opinion, when you do hit the curb. But you can get that straight line speed. You can run wider here than the GT3s because of the downforce. Braking just under the bridge there. Tried to get inside a little bit wide for him there, but just trying to get it under control. Cold tires as well, so they're just trying to warm up the tires, but it looks like you don't want to over scrub it as well. But going wide, wheel turning a little bit too much might cause some scrubbing, but might be a way to just warm up the tires. And just heading on here to the back straight. Looks like a pretty decent lap. Some mistakes here, little mistakes going wide in some corners, but so far so good. And into this slight hairpin, I would say, but it's quite a wider exit. But the car does really want to run loose there. And then heading to this corner, very tight. This corner, you don't want to run too wide because you do want to set yourself up for this penultimate and last corner, because you do want to carry as much speed as you can for this very, very long straight that can decide your first and, well, your lap and the next lap as well.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a pretty solid starter. 1:34.9, and if we're hopping to the other guys, really, we've got D. Harry's. I don't know the first name, unfortunately. Raul has a sheet. He's just beaten both E. Terra and Mike basically by a whole second. That will be down to how smooth they're driving, how they're changing their start. As we're watching Harry's here, he's pretty spot on with where he's hooking the apexes. He's not overtly jerking the car, and he's just slowly but surely scrubbing the speed out of an apex.
Yeah, he's not. His line is looking very clean. I think he's just getting these clean laps as the tires do need to warm up, especially more for these LMP2s, it seems like. But so far, just driving it cleanly around, not making too many mistakes, not over driving it by running in deep or running wide. But looks like that's his formula for getting this pole position. But we'll see later on as the track does improve and as these tires get hotter and hotter, providing more grip for these cars, more mechanical grip, aside from the aero that these have compared to the GT3s. We should see a ramp up in lap times incoming.
Yeah, well, it looks like Terra has abandoned their second lap, and Harry's is coming around the final corner just as Mike did as well, doing pretty decent on the quali lap. However, tell a lie, Michael has gone ahead and done it. I can't see his lap time because he's currently shaking the wheel like a madman, but I believe he was somewhere in the neighborhood of 1:31.6, whereas Terra basically had hit that 1:31.3 in the previous lap. So I guess the person to watch on this instance then is E-Terra, trying to figure out how they're going about their lap. From what I'm seeing so far, they've set up the car quite nicely to allow for that oversteer. And when coming back out the corner is smoothly coming back on throttle as they release the wheel. So that's giving a very adverse effect. Although I am noticing a lot of low gear shifts, so I don't know if there's some assists in play here so the car doesn't slip. I don't know if there's a level of setup where they've set the toe and the range and everything to be more forward on the car. But I'm quite unsure, to be honest. Is stability more preferred in these cars, Vera?
I'd say considering the track itself, I think these drivers would prefer just that little bit more stability because if you do drive an oversteery car, this track can kill the tires. So on a longer race stint, I think just being having that stability, for that, and just overall consistency will help you get those lap times up and consistent.
Yeah, I'm just seeing in chat, apologies for some stuttering, it's just when we swap tabs and some of the bit rates. But at the current moment, with seeming fine, it seems to be holding up okay. But quickly going back to the laps, Harry's has done a 1:29.2, so it seems every lap they're going up by literally a second, aren't they, Raul?
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, the track evolution does come into play, especially the tires warming up. That's the main factor here. Once these tires do get warm, they can just straight up beat their banker laps by over seconds. Like we've seen with Harry's just pulling up with a 1:29.2, which is almost 2 seconds ahead of Teroka on second place.
Yeah, and is currently looking very good for a lap. At the current moment, seeming very smooth, very into the corners. Not slipping away from him, making it quite neat and tidy coming in and out of them. But at the moment, Raul, who are you betting on if you had to say one of these three?
Between one of these three, I'd say I have to put my money on Harry's. He's showing the lap time here in qualifying almost 2 seconds quicker. So if we see that same pace throughout the race, if he can get consistently on that pace, I reckon he can just run away and take the win here.
Definitely. Coming into the last bit there, a 1:29.7, not his best work, but it's almost good enough. Let's see where Michael's sitting, and he's in the dirt. I don't know. Did he set a lap?
He did set
okay.
a quicker lap time. Yeah.
I was gonna say.
So,
I mean, we got Terra, so I mean Terra might pull out so he could last minute, but this will have to be a quick out lap. If so, to be honest, I don't think the car will be capable of hitting that. It might, but you'd have to be gunning it. I'm quite surprised they've gone out, to be completely honest.
Yeah, he's cutting it very close here, considering it is a 1 minute 30 lap time. Well, average 1:30-minute lap time for these LMP2 cars, and he's quite far off from making it, considering it's only a minute left on the clock. He did come out with 1 minute 30, 1 minute 29, so if he can cut a few corners here, hopefully the stewards won't watch, he probably can get one more lap in.
Definitely. We're also seeing just a lot of cleanness from these drivers so far. I've seen a little bit of jitteriness from Michael with how he's turning, but to be honest, it seems to have worked well for him against Terra. The only thing I think I want to double check on is the GT3s, because it usually with these kinds of races there's a lot more drivers, and truth be told they would get in the way, but in this instance they may just have a really nice clean race. So the goal here isn't really to just pass the GT3s and then slow down. The goal is to keep with the pack, and if these three don't keep together, to be honest, whoever's in the lead out of lap 1 will most likely take this.
Yeah, considering that we don't have that many GT3 drivers at the moment, it definitely looks like the LMP2s can just manage their way around, but we also have to remember that despite having 2 drivers, if those 2 drivers in the GT3s, Costa and Bender, fight, then it will be up to the LMP2s to safely go around.
Yes, definitely.
So that could play a part.
But let's hop back into our caster cameras, shall we? Pretty much, we noticed there was a lot of different things going on. We've noticed there is a short amount of drivers, but again, that actually might make a big difference. For example, with the whole LMP pack, if Michael can keep with the guy in front, Harris, all of a sudden he has the nice toe. He's able to get away from Terra. If he loses that could be a bite for Mike. And for Terra, his goal really is the start. He needs to make sure he is catching these guys as fast as possible, as soon as possible. He doesn't do it as soon as possible, you got problems.
I'd say, yeah, but most important thing is the consistency. You just want to be consistent all throughout the race, because we've seen mistakes, especially for the LMP2s, with how difficult this car is to drive. But as long as you stay consistent, I reckon you're in a shot for a win here.
Yeah, definitely. As long as you've got that leveled pace, you're not making any major mistakes, it will be fine. To be honest, I am seeing a slight concern. Wet tyres. Have you seen that route? Wet tyres? Bit strange. That's, I mean, well, wet race in Barcelona. I guess we're taking the heat this season.
Yep. These drivers are definitely gonna be scared of this race start because of just the different conditions compared to qualifying. You're gonna be used to the dry line, the dry tires. You're gonna be used to the amount of grip you have. But so far, I reckon these guys have done their practice in the wet, especially.
Yeah, these LMPs, as far as I'm aware, at least on the level, they do get quite slippy if you have gone for a dry setup. So hopefully the drivers have thought this through and has gone for a bit of a hybrid managed setup. We're really hoping for that. So let's hop back into the qualifying then and see what's going on. So currently we've got a minute till start, but at the moment I think the drivers are just gridding and just getting comfortable. I've just seen Terra's just hopped in. Now, I don't believe, Raul, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe there's a thing like Parc Fermé in this, is there?
At the moment, the most important thing is that I'm pretty sure they can't carry themselves from qualifying over to the race. I mean, you can't change it between
Yeah.
qualifying and the race. You can change specific components, but an overhaul of multiple parts, I don't think it's possible. I think you can change like tire pressures and all that, but
Yeah.
you can't change
Also,
everything.
we do apologize. I did try to get the Grid Finder video to go, and it did not want to go on my OBS. So what we'll do is, come this race end, we'll show you the video, get our sponsor up. As Grid Finder's just been amazing, has it? Well, we get all our races sorted. They're pretty much on the system, ready to go. If you're willing to join BUSR and you're at a university in the UK or even across the world, we have a lot of drivers who aren't just UK British citizens. So there's a lot of different drivers, isn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of different drivers. Hopefully we can get more for LMU though.
Definitely.
This is an interesting racing series. It's quite different to what we usually have of F1 and AC. But yeah, in terms of difficulty, LMU is gonna be up there, especially with this heat.
I reckon if this formation goes smoothly, there's going to be a bit of a choke point with the two drivers on the right, and Michael might actually get a nice free getaway as long as Harris doesn't cut him off. Granted, if they're listening to the stream, he's probably heard. But
yeah, this race start is definitely going to be interesting considering it is a wet start. Although it's a rolling start, which will help them in terms of just getting the traction down.
Yeah.
You still want to be close enough. You don't want to mess up the start where you wheel spin, have a wiggle on the straight. So you just want to keep it clean, especially into turn one, as they are not used to these grip levels. And so far, we have green flag for the LMP2 cars as we
out.
go for round 3 here at Barcelona. We have Harris taking a great start and Teroka putting it on the inside of Mike. He's having a look. Looks like he's staying. Mike's give him the space. But they are side by side here as we come up into turn number 3, and Harry's just running away with it.
Yeah, I mean, Harris did everything that was needed in the book, really. He purposely went across to get Michael, basically held back a bit so Terra could try to get past Michael. And sure enough, that's worked a treat. Now, Michael's scrapping this rain at the moment, I'm seeing. So to be honest, I'm pretty certain he may be running a little bit dry, but it might just be he needs the heat in the tyres. And truth be told, currently, Harris is doing a great job getting that gap and maintaining it as well. 1.5 already tells me that Harris anticipated this rain. Let's have a look at the backpack, shall we, of the GT3s, as I know there's been a few... Oh, Terra's off!
Teroka is off.
Okay, we're going
he just
back.
got caught out.
Yep.
He got caught out in these conditions. That corner specifically is very difficult to get correct under the brakes, and he just ran wide.
Luckily, not too far off.
Mike
Yeah.
Go through.
Well, hopefully not too far off, but again, Michael's a little wiggly, so Terra's got time to gain here. But to be honest... Oh, Harris!
Oh, Harris had a spin.
Okay.
Is that up the hill?
Yep, that is up
he's
the hill.
backing out. Now Mike, here, after the race start, he was down in P3, and now he's definitely smiling inside that helmet as he just goes straight up from P3 to P1 in a span of a few corners.
Yeah, well, I mean, Michael's now got a 2-second gap thanks to that spin by Harris, but hopefully Harris can gain his flow, gain back the time. Should we now actually have a look at the GT3, as I feel like we've gave them a little less attention, unfortunately. But currently, these two are having a lovely day. They've drove quite close to each other, they've kept the slipstream. Kota seems to be using a lot more of the track and extending it, whereas we're looking at the moment with John B, he's just kind of chilling, driving through, making sure that he's getting the pace he needs. And to be honest, this Porsche is just going to be slowly but surely trying to copy John and try to almost make a wet line for themselves. However, they are going a bit wide, I'm noticing, so it might be a bit difficult. But jumping back, let's have a look. Oh, here we go. We're getting a bit close with the times now, aren't we?
Yeah, Teraoka just closed the gap from 2 seconds to 1 second on that previous lap, and now Mike is under pressure here. One thing to note is that the rain should disappear midway into the race or around 30 minutes into the race. So we definitely don't know what setup these guys are running, if they do have a wet setup on or have they just gone for a dry setup in the wet and just risk it until that dry period comes.
Well,
But so far, Teraoka
this is why I'm so glad
is
you are a weatherman, because it's like I would not have known that this is going to happen. And to be honest, I hope the drivers don't either. It'll make quite interesting scrap if some of them are gone wet and some of them are gone dry.
Oh yeah, the drivers, they, I reckon they know the weather in terms of the forecast, but they wouldn't know when the rain is going to end. So they're kind of driving here blind. They're not really they don't really have the knowledge whether they should be saving or just going all out. Because you do want to save the virtual energy on these cars, or the fuel for these LMP2 cars.
Definitely.
So they're just waiting, biding their time.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of slipstreaming as well. Terakar trying to get past Michael. And to be honest, backed out of the move, which is brave. I can see Michael going for a bit of a defensive lunge to the right here. And oh my lord, Terakar is going to go around the outside. Is it going to hold? It does. Good move by Terakar. To be honest, that was really clean racing. Side by side going around that corner. Raul, what did you think?
Yeah, that was a fantastic move by Teraoka. He just had that grip on the outside. Looks like Mike was struggling with oversteer all throughout the corner. It's important to note that Teraoka did have that wet line, and obviously the wet line is quite different compared to the dry line. In whenever you're in the rain, the wet line is, you don't really want to be on that rubber of the dry line. You want to stay wide as much as you can. Just get the tires to grip. You don't want the water over the rubber on the racing line. So you just get more grip on the outside, and he just drives around, as we see Harris here trying to move up the field and past Costa, trying to catch up and make his way to that battle at the front, because he doesn't want to let those LMP2 cars run away and just take the win out of his hands after that spin early on.
Yeah, there was a bit of a hold-up there, wasn't there, for Harris, unfortunately. But to be honest, there's so much time in this race. We've got, what, is it an hour?
75 minutes, but we're coming up to an hour and 9 minutes left. So there's still a lot of time for Harris, definitely.
Yeah, but let's talk at the start of the show real quick for the GTs. John B. Mr. John B has just kind of kept it consistent, hasn't got in anyone's way. And right now we're going to see he's just going to hold it and let Harris slowly get past so that he doesn't lose time. And currently is building a 5-second gap to Acosta, which is insane. However, a little bit of that grass probably wasn't the best thing to do there, John, but you're fine. But let's keep rolling, shall we? So now Harris has got about 20 seconds to make up. This is going to be quite tough, but like Raul said, this will dry up. So there's going to be a level of possibly Harris gaining back some of this time, as I know Mike's been quite shaken. And if we're going straight back to Mike, he's currently losing time to Terakar. Terakar's got a quite nice gap of 6 seconds, which tells me Mike is possibly running a dry standard setup. But again, it's all to play for, isn't it, Raul?
Yeah, definitely. Once the weather does change, those people that did go for a dry setup in the wet will slowly start to pull their way back through. But so far, it's just them biding their time. They just want to set consistent lap times here, not trying to overdrive the car, especially if you have that dry setup in the wet. Make sure you avoid the puddles as well, because if you do aquaplane... Oh, as we see, Teraoka looks like he had a mistake, as the gap does go down to 6/10 here, and Mike is within a chance of an overtake if he stays consistent, get in that slipstream, and close up in these next few corners as we head over to another lap here at Barcelona in the wet.
Yeah, I've absolutely missed that there, but essentially Michael seemed to gain a huge advantage on Terakar, who seems very out of formation at the moment. trying to just gain on Terracotta as best as possible through these S's. But obviously it's a bit hard to follow in the wet, isn't it, Rao?
Oh yeah, you do get that massive spray onto your windscreen as you maybe weave out like Mike does there just to see your breaking points and not make your mistakes. But if you're confident and you've done loads of practice, it's just muscle memory for your body to just be used to the track. As we see Mike here just closing in little by little, Teroka making some little mistakes. It's not costly, but it is little mistakes that's allowing Mike to close the gap, as we see a little bit of a wiggle there for Mike as he tries to head onto this back straight. Try to close up the gap, but he is struggling with the grip, especially behind Teroka, as you will get a little bit of downforce remove if you're in the wake of another car, but you do want to stay in the slipstream for that long straight.
Yeah.
Two different lines here from Teroka, actually, and Mike, seems like.
There seems to be a difference in what's going on with the driving styles. Mike's going pretty much for what I'd say is the dry line. I've noticed the reason he gets a bit unsettled in this car is he starts touching puddles, truth be told. There's a lot of deep puddles in certain curvatures around the track. And so Mike is finding himself just getting a bit out of shape. But truth be told, Terracotta is handling it quite nicely by taking what is basically the wet line, coming out wide to basically find that driest part of the track, because it's still heavily wet. We've got a good 30-odd minutes until this really gets dry. So Mike's really got to either make this move now or wait a good while.
Yeah, as long as he does... Oh, massive spin from Mike on turn 3. Hits the wall, hopefully not too much damage. Can he continue on with this race?
Oh, he's trying to reverse it out. Does he get it out? He does get out the wall. Now, let's kind of just jump back in here. We've got Harris gaining back on Michael because of the crash. Can he make it work? Can he get past Michael? Michael's coming back on track. There's a yellow flag, but Harris does make it in time. This will now change the fight, I believe. This will make it so much more interesting because all Terracotta's got to do is hold it together. If they don't hold it together and their own slip up, they'll be back in the scrap too. But truth be told, we've seen each driver so far spin. In the meantime, Cotter still 6 seconds off, and that's not anything to say. It's just pace. John has found a gap, and now they're both kind of matching each other. But this may change when it dries up, so I'm not too worried about that fight. When it comes to Harris and Michael, on the other hand, Michael will want that redemption, but he does have damage on his front, basically base plate. And we're noticing that if you kind of look carefully at the hood and on the front, there's a little bit of damage going on. And so hopefully Michael can find a way to drive out of it. But we'll see what happens.
From the screen as well, if you see there, when he was going through the back straight, the wheel was pointing towards the right just to get it straight. So he does have wheel damage here, especially with how hard he hit that outside wall through the gravel trap. We'll see if he does dive into the pits to get it fixed, and hopefully it works out for his strategy, because like we've mentioned, we do not really know what time this rain is gonna end, if they're gonna have to do a splash and dash at the end of this stint.
Yeah,
just to survive the wet period.
It seems to be that Michael's pitted, and what I was noticing there, if we were just watching his steering inputs, is he was almost driving like he had broken suspension. But to be honest, the hood didn't seem to indicate that, the data doesn't seem to indicate that, but we never know. It could be a local form of issue where it's basically ended up acting almost like suspension damage on the front left. But to be honest, it might be a blessing in disguise. If it does dry up just the teeniest bit, Michael could possibly go to a slightly better tyre, but it's going to be a lot to pull back. The best play, in my opinion, if we're talking strategy, is to just stick it on the wets, gain as much time as possible, keep it consistent, and try to undercut everyone if you can. Going long in this instance will just end up making you fall into the pack again. So Michael's got to really play this properly. And to be honest, that pit stop's going to be a long while.
Yeah, the only thing I'm thinking of that could work out for Mike here is that if the rain does go further on into the race and Harris and Teroka has had to pit just for a little bit more fuel to make it at the end of this rain period. But so far, Mike is definitely going to be in the pits for a while. Going to be quite a few laps down, just trying to get the car fixed. But Harry's is closing in on Teroka. It was 15 seconds for quite 3 laps ago or 2 laps ago, and now it's down to 10 seconds. As Teroka just trying to stay consistent here, trying to make sure he's maintaining that gap, but also not make any mistakes. Because, like, the famous quote, it's one thing to catch, but it's also another thing to pass. So
definitely. And what I'm noticing as well is Terracotta seems to be making the slightest mistakes, hacking it, and then just kind of going back to normal. In other news, while we're waiting for Harris to gain, I got a funny one for you, Raul. All my Kit Kats have melted on my desk.
well, I guess you just don't have dessert while you're
no more stream food. I'm quite upset about that, actually. I really wanted that Kit Kat. Oh, I mean, have you got any good food, Raul, with you? Have you got anything?
Well, I've got the most important thing with me right now, which is my H2O.
Well, I'm not sure if you heard me earlier clanking around, but I did go and grab water while you were yapping about Harris getting past. But it's boiling. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's probably also a reason why we are seeing these minor mistakes, as we see Teroka just go a little bit wide once again, which will help Harris in closing these. Oh, and he's out for a spin. And into the wall.
Bad.
Is that him out of the race, or can he get it back on track just to see if he can continue on with this race, as Harry's now smiling, grinning, even despite his mistake earlier on. Just sees 2 cars, Teroka and Mike, just into the wall, trying to rejoin the track. As, like we've mentioned earlier, consistency is key, as it seems from Harris, despite the mistake on lap 1.
Well, I was trying to eat a Kit Kat when that crash happened, and also I think I've nearly just thrown that all everywhere. It's one of those where these mistakes are happening so much more, and now Terracotta has had to pit too. So all Harris, again, this seems to be the story of tonight. Keep it consistent. If you can do that, not even that quick, you've got time. So it's a matter of just keeping it out of the walls, keeping it on the track. But to be honest, that looked worse. That was more rear wing damage compared to Mike's crash. And that was just due to the snap of oversteer that sent him into the corner. And to be honest, I noticed there wasn't a hold of brakes either. And to be honest, me and you, Raul, we've witnessed it firsthand with us at Corsa, is we need to hold it. Because if we don't, it's game over. Yeah, everyone, if you're learning anything from this stream, as I'm Meet the Teacher, hold your brakes. If you don't, it will end up in tears. But yeah, I don't know what to think of this, to be honest, Raul. It's seeming quite wide in consistency, and to be honest, John's building more of a gap in the GT3. So I guess in the meantime, we talk about what it's going to be like in the dry.
I'd say, as we've seen, Costa, for the GT3s, if we can make our way back to them, it just has that pace in the wet, it seems like, over Costa. But Costa did set quite a faster lap time than John in the dry qualifying that we had earlier on. So maybe we'll see Costa, once it goes to dry, maybe he does have a dry setup, close that gap. But so far, John is looking very strong to take this win here in the GT3 category. While in our LMP2 category, we have Teroka and Mike. Teroka is still in the pits trying to get the car fixed. We'll see if he can get back out. Like, it seems like he can get back. But Mike inheriting P2. Because Teroka just smashed it into the wall. I think he did touch some grass on the entry, which made him spin. But quite unfortunate for him to spin in that specific order, because the wall is closer compared to turn 3 here, where Mike spun it earlier.
I'm noticing as well, this gap isn't as big now though. So hopefully, again, I'm going to keep saying it, we keep it consistent and you'll gain on Mike. And so on that front, if they can just get that little bit of extra time compared to Mike, hopefully at this point, when it turns dry, as I'm noticing it is getting slightly brighter, it's looking a little more like Barcelona, it will be worth it. But I don't know, how powerful is the undercut in these cars, Raul?
I'd say the tires isn't that much of a factor in terms of undercutting or overcutting compared to F1 per se. It's more of just getting the perfect amount of fuel for your stint, especially with these changeable conditions. We don't know how much fuel Mike or Tero could put on, because they are not running with the virtual energy. They just put on the fuel in these cars and just go drive your race. But if you do get the fuel correct for this transition period, then you could gain a lot of time back compared to the other drivers who has to make a splash and dash. But so far, it's looking great here for Harris.
Yeah, definitely. And Harris is currently actually catching Mike on the lap. And so there could be an opportunity here for Harris to basically lap Mike. I don't know what you'd do here, because truthfully, Mike should move out of the way, as it will be a blue flag situation. But if you're trying to catch up with Terracotta and make it interesting, I would start picking up the paces if I was Mike, just so I can try to keep Harris a little bit behind so it's not a blue flag situation, and hopefully still gain on Terracotta coming back round, as Michael is ahead of Terracotta, but again, you want to build as much of a gap as possible to keep that P2.
Yeah, definitely. You want to keep this gap, especially for Harris. It will be a big deciding factor if he does try to go for an overtake here, or does he just follow Mike and just make sure he keeps it safe, because yeah, overtaking is going to be difficult, especially in these sort of conditions where it's slowly drying up. You're getting a little bit more grip, but you don't really seem to trust the car that much at the moment, because it is still very greasy, or still with puddles on the ground, quite wet.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still trying to figure out why the stream's lagging. But on that front, though, Harris is actually now pulling again on Mike. I did just kind of catch that just there. That straightaway is becoming shorter and shorter compared to Mike. So, I mean, we may as well sit on board and see what Harris can do. Coming through the S's, takes it quite nicely, using pretty much a dry line, comes out wide to cut in, trying to keep it a little bit wet so they can scrub the speed, but not touching the curb so they don't spin, because that's been a major issue so far. As we're coming down this straight, we're going to barrel a little bit to the left to come out wide to cut back in, but again, looking for that wet line. We're not going to hook it too deep. As we're going down here as well, this is going to be a very tight corner, and to be honest, because it's so slow, you may as well hit the apex even if it's wet. But again, Harris is just keeping it nice and simple, keeping it clean, isn't he, Ralph?
Yeah, Harry's just trying to keep it consistent. I don't think he's worried about passing Mike here. He just doesn't want to spin into a wall like Mike and Teroka did and let them back into this race, which is a great strategy. You don't really have to lap them, because it's a massive gap of 1 minute 28 seconds at the moment. So just trying to keep it clean. Just survive the race, trust that your strategy will work, but it does seem to be drying up ever so slightly here in Barcelona. It doesn't look like Barcelona.
Yeah, or we're just imagining it. Maybe it's just, you know what, the rain is now sunny. They stole our weather.
Yeah, this is what we should be feeling right now, not the heat.
Yeah.
As Harris does pull into the pits, looks like he doesn't have enough fuel to make it at the end of this weather stint.
Yeah, which does give Mike, because Mike has pitted, and same for Terracotta, hopefully they put in some extra fuel to fix their car as well. So they actually have the fuel advantage going into this next stint. However, Harry's hopefully will come out a good chunk ahead of the two with some new fuel, and possibly, if they want to take the risk, dry tyres. Maybe. I'm very doubtful, but it's very possible that there is a good bit of fuel that Harris is going to run here. But again, we're hoping for what? Is it one more pit stop, Ral?
Yeah, it should be one pit stop and then another to transition to dries, and so maybe 3 more pit stops, or 2 more pit stops actually. Depends on when the dry period starts. But so far we watch Mike here.
Oh no!
Another spin for Mike as he does just get blinded by the GT3 car. Maybe he saw a squirrel cross the road or something and just lose focus there.
Yeah, definitely. As Harris is coming out of the pit, unfortunately, that's pretty much the gap for Michael now. However, Terracotta's now gained a good chunk on Michael because of that spin. So coming down to 6 seconds, as long as Terracotta's doing more consistent laps, not over-scrubbing the tyres, he'll be fine. Michael's just on the end of that straight there. You can see him. It should be pretty okay. But truth be told, I do wonder if this is going to affect Michael badly. There was no damage incurred, but obviously the tyres will be warm. It'll be a bit risky to over-throttle it. I can see him being very careful on his inputs. But Harris, man. Harris has just ran with it, hasn't he?
Yeah, it looks like Harris just being more consistent. No mistakes, really, so far, aside from the lap 1 spin that we saw earlier on.
Yeah.
Looks like he does have that rhythm at the moment. He's just driving it cleanly. He's not even trying to hit apexes per se, like not clipping curbs or anything, just really driving, trying to get into the end of the race.
He's picking and choosing where to touch and why, because he knows where the slip points are. Oh, a little bit of a slide though coming out of that turn. But what we're noticing, yeah, I know, right? I've noticed as well with all of this is Harris is keeping it the most consistent. He's not playing the risk too high and is just making sure that car is keeping still. I know each driver's spun at least once, but currently Harris is the most consistent. Truth be told, I think we're going to be waiting a while for the catch-up of a lifetime. So I don't really know where we're going to wait for this. So I reckon we try for a Grid Finder break and we give you guys our title sponsor, Grid Finder. So let's hop to that. Cool, and we're back. Pretty much, it's been pretty much the same while you guys have been seeing the nice little trailer for Grid Finder. I've noticed Harris is getting a bit wider, a little bit out of shape, but it's not all too bad. To be honest, as long as they're keeping it in track limits and not taking any major risks, I don't see a problem. Do you, Ro?
No, so far Harris is just running away with things here at the front here at Barcelona, taking full points for himself as he tries to just get the championship, really, as he is the leader at the moment by quite some margin.
Yeah, definitely. Should we have a quick look at our guys in the GTs? Currently, their tyres looking a bit dead now. But to be honest, they're doing brilliantly. Mike's coming up on John now, actually, as we're speaking. And truth be told, John will try to give it in a good spot, but John won't just back it out because he needs to keep on that racing line, of course. But to be honest, a 10-second gap is amazing from John. It's very consistent, and hopefully, I reckon 18% left on both the GT3s. They'll make it to the dry stint and possibly make it a one-stop if they're lucky.
Yeah, looks like he's saving just a little bit more energy as well than Costa here. Although they're both on 17% just a second ago, looks like Costa, well, now they're back down to 16 at the same time. Costa is losing energy that little bit more than John. So I think John is just trying to bide his time here, trying to save as much as he can before that dry period. I think he's trying to make it to that dry period, as the track is drying up quite a bit here, but it's still greasy. Hopefully they wouldn't have to do a splash and dash just to get to the dry period.
To be honest, from what I'm seeing, I'm unsure if that dash is fully correct. I don't think so. But to be completely honest, what I'm seeing from John right here, if we were just to have a quick analyze of what he's doing, is he's only, again, similar to what Harris is doing in the LMP, is putting it on curbs he knows he can. Now, GT3s will have a lot of weight, and so, to be honest, they could get away with it because they're going slower into the corners. But we're seeing, because of that tyre degradation, John kind of getting a little bit out of shape, but nothing he can't handle. He can catch it, he can roll it. You'll see it coming out of a lot of corners. He'll give it that little wiggle that you've just seen there. If we look onto the corner he's going to now, we'll see he actually pushes it quite harsh when he comes through here from what I've seen so far. So he gets it nice and aimed, and then he throttles it, and the rear's stepping out just a tiny bit, He's got to wiggle it in and just make sure it's making that apex. Again, hugging the corner, getting it hooked, and you'll see that little wiggle right about there. And to be honest, it's just car control. He's just trying to make sure it's not slipping so he can get to the pit lane later into this lap. I'm hoping he's not pitting now. I don't see the point. You've got a good couple laps left.
Yeah, he still has 12% here. It looks like they're losing about
bit of a risk,
massive slide there from John there, as commentator cursed once again. As soon as we start praising someone for their consistency, they seem to have a wiggle here and there.
Little dance.
They're just trying to light it up for us here, watching, as there is quite a massive gap between him and Costa at the moment. But yeah, just keeping it consistent, John. He just seems to have the pace over Costa in this wet period. But from what we've seen at Spa, John is... He's mentioned that he's not quite a fan of Spa. Maybe that's why his result wasn't as strong. Maybe this is one of his stronger tracks of Barcelona, but Costa was definitely stronger in Spa-Francorchamps, but so far he is struggling in this wet period. One key thing to note as well is that the Porsche is quite... takes in a lot of fuel, sips quite a bit. Maybe sip is not the right word. Maybe drinks the fuel is a better word for it. But so far, he is saving quite a bit here. He's just keeping it within the same percentage as John at the moment. But yeah, Costa just trying to keep it consistent. Doesn't want to make any mistakes and hopefully catch up during the dry period.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I really wish I had my own Skypad for this because it'd be great. But to be honest... I'm noticing with Costa, they're just being very cautious. They take the curbs like you would on a dry line. They make sure it's pretty much the same, but they're being overtly careful on the throttle. Now, because they're not taking that wet line, that does mean they have to be even more cautious, which is losing them speed. If I was Costa right now, I would start suggesting going a little bit out wide on some corners, not all of them, and just trying to get that speed scrubbed out wide. As Costa comes into the pits, because John's gone into the pits, they've played it to the very end, didn't go for the 5% risk. So John trying to get a little bit of a nice cut. And at the moment, the LMP's looking kind of chilling. They've got enough time. I don't really know what their tyre deg is at the moment, but truth be told, they're hacking it with a 45-second gap to a 25-second gap. But if we're going back to these two, John's ahead on the tyre pit so far, and John will probably get out first.
Yeah, unless Costa just stays on the wets here. It is still quite wet, quite greasy, so there shouldn't be going on to dries. But
Right.
if Costa does go on and see if he takes that risk, or take less fuel than John here, maybe he can get out first before.
Well, I'm hearing the pit
John.
guns. We're hearing the pit guns. They've both been lifted. This is the most slowest thing I've ever watched, but it's
And
worked.
John is out.
Wait.
Oh, Costa is out as well.
Costa's out as well. Has Costa beat him on the pit line? I can't tell. Oh my god, he has!
Costa has taken the lead here in the GT3s.
Oh wow, okay.
Looks like he didn't take tires, or because John did get held up for a long time there. Maybe he took some new tires compared to Costa.
Maybe. To be honest, I just thought that was fuel. But this is going to be interesting because Costa can now play this smart, defend and try to get Mike past John, because that will kind of shake up the problem. Now, there is blue flags out for this situation, of course, so both drivers should let go. But Michael goes around the outside of one. Can he go right outside the other? Yes, he can. Is John going to try to take advantage of it? Yep. It looks like he was trying to take advantage of it, but couldn't really find the space to do so. But he's going to try around the outside here. Oh, perspective is a liar. Oh, a little bit of a switchback, though. This is looking pretty good so far with Costa trying to keep it on the inside. John brakes late. Costa on the inside. Oh, it's very snug with that wheel. Oh, a little bit of a love tap on the rear, but John has made it past Costa. To be honest, did you expect that to happen, Ro?
Yeah, as we've seen on that first stint, we did see John just run away from Costa during this wet period. I expected the same as well, because John really did have that such strong pace compared to Costa. Costa just looks very safe. Looks like he's taking it very safe compared to John, and John is just getting that few tenths of a second more than Costa. But a really fantastic move setting up by John there, as he tried to first go on the outside into turn 3, and then for turn 4 does that lovely switchback, which now means that he is leading from Costa here. Costa can just try to get into the slipstream as he tries to have a look, try to get closer to that rear bumper of the McLaren. McLaren mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, Porsche mid-engine, rear-wheel drive as well.
I'm trying to break the toe here.
Yeah, John trying to break the toe, moving further into that pit wall as Costa just following through. Will they spot their brake markers here as Costa keeping it safe once again, not really sending it, but John has a little wiggle on the exit of turn 1 there, messes up turn 2, which allows Costa to have a little bit of a look into turn 3, maybe do the same thing that was done to him by John here into turn 4, as we watch them try to spot their markers. Costa having a little look on the inside, thinks better and backs out of it as John survives that onslaught from that mistake into turn 1.
I mean, it was brilliant. It was a little bit of trickery there, where John's kind of overshot one of the curbs. And to be honest, I think Costa's now seeing a little bit of red mist, but has a little more grip, I'm noticing, compared to John. John's getting a lot more grip coming out of a corner, but he's deeping the corner too much, whereas Costa's doing the complete opposite. So right now, they're kind of on equal footing, in my opinion, but John may pick up the pace here as long as he doesn't overshoot a corner.
Yeah, it looks like John is just getting that better traction compared to the Porsche at the moment. The McLaren definitely quite strong in terms of traction zones, but at the same time, the Porsche is also strong on those traction zones. Maybe it's just down to driver technique at the moment, but Costa seems to be struggling here in the wet as he can't follow the same lines as John really has. Maybe a difference in setup as well.
Yeah, definitely. If there is an audience watching, say your votes. Who do you think's going to win this battle? Because to be honest, Costa's now getting gapped by a second, but can still gain back on John if they just get the line correct. So this battle may actually go on for longer than we anticipated, to be honest, as long as Costa gets a good exit coming out of the final corner there. Looks like it wasn't.
Yes. Yeah, so far just John starting to pull away once again. Based on the weather forecast report, it should have been dry long ago, but at the same time, it is a smaller grid, so maybe the track isn't drying quicker than we thought it was supposed to be. But so far, we've gone over half the race distance, and so far the track is still seems to be greasy, despite the rain has stopped because we don't see the wipers moving for Harry's there. So maybe the rain has stopped and it is drying slowly. But the main thing
Maybe.
for the LMP2 is that Mike and Teroka did have to pit earlier in the stint compared to Harry's. Does that mean that Harry's has the better strategy here now because the track is quite slow in drying up?
Well, I'm thinking Harris here is doing a pretty good job, just keeping it consistent. And to be honest, I'm not seeing any of that dried up stuff. But when it comes to Michael, he must be thinking, well, does Harris have the fuel? Now, we know Harris pitted later, so truth be told, he should have more fuel. But we don't know. It could have been a tyre swap. It could have been a strategic play knowing that it's going to be full wets. To be honest, I don't think a single set of wets would last this consistently long, but we don't truly know. But if we go back to our GT3 fellows over here, John's built a really good gap, and we do know what his fuel degradation is and how it's going. And to be honest, they're pushing. They're both very much pushing. They're currently down to 83%. Coming into a good estimate, I reckon they'll be on about 10 to 5% by the end of this race. So they've planned their strategies quite nicely. I think the LMPs have had to do a bit of a different move going into this. And to be honest, now it's just a matter for Harris to get past those GT3s as quick as possible to keep that 50-second lead that they would like.
Yeah, honestly, Harris can just like sit behind the GT3 here maybe and just play it safe until dry period. But so far, Harris is just keeping it safe, trying to maintain that gap of 50 seconds to Mike. And so far, Teroka is not closing the gap to Mike here as well. So it's just a line of stern where Harris, Mike, and Teroka just biding their time until the race does dry up. And Harris just driving it consistently. He's not even pushing the car, it seems like. He's just trying to bide his time as we see a little wiggle there at the exit of turn number 4 as Harris just a little spin, massive spin here from Harris, just hold the brake and then just back on track. That was a great recovery there from Harris. Hopefully it doesn't damage his time too much as another commentator's curse as I was praising his consistent driving and immediately goes into a spin.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
I mean, to be honest, it's not done too much damage to his heart, probably a little bit to his talent, but it's one of those where Michael's not really gained that much time, maybe 5 seconds at a push. So as long as Harris, again, can keep the car okay, we're fine. I don't know how many times I'm going to say in this stream. If someone wants to go back and count how many times I say keep the car consistent, just tick it. Take a shot every time you hear me say it, actually. That's probably a great idea.
Every time we say consistency or consistent, take a shot and maybe we'll have a few viewers
if you're not drinking bod by any means, take a shot of water every time you see a spin. It's probably good to get a hydration break in once in a while. To be honest, I wish we had like a hydration break segment. That'd be such fun.
Yeah, just get the cars into the pit lane, just, oh yeah, here you go, have a little drink.
Definitely. And what we're seeing so far here is where the hydration break shouldn't be. We've got Acosta currently coming around the corner, letting Harris go down the inside. And Harris now hopefully can just start building that gap and start digging to John. And then once he's past John, it's going to be for Michael to deal with.
So far Harris is just... I don't want to say again because I don't want to jinx him. Let's see after he goes out of this corner once he's straight, and then we'll have a mention of how consistent he's been going for this race, despite some spins here and there. But definitely Mike and Teroka ruining their chance because of their crashes into the wall, as Harris been lucky enough to be spinning in the correct places if there's a correct place to spin.
Oh, this is a nice camera. Sorry, that's just absolutely shocked me. I didn't know we had that camera. Here we go. Harris trying to get past John. Will John give up the race line? Oh, okay, maybe not. He's flashing. He's getting
John
a bit
is
eager.
fighting it.
Go on, John, down the inside. Ah.
Send it to this next corner. Let's have a little bit of fun.
It'd be so funny if he did. But I think it's one of those where these guys are now in the cruise, and to be honest, I think this will, cross your fingers, folks, be the results of the race. We don't know with the amount of spins and wetness there is on track at the moment, but for some reason I keep thinking it's drying up, and it's not drying up. Ral, why?
I think it's just the amount, of course, as it is slowly but surely drying up. But I don't know
believe
if it's going to be drying up for the end.
I don't believe you, Ral. Maybe we need a different weatherman. Let's get you as the weatherman next time, because like I don't understand what's going on here. To be honest, it seems quite just wet consistently. And to be honest, I've not really touched the LMU LMPs. I know with the GT3s, obviously we saw it. That tire swap is something you should do. But when it comes to LMPs, I'm actually pretty certain they can go the distance for a good chunk. Maybe do a fuel stop. That was a bit weird. But Harris
just
pulling the light switch.
I thought he stopped it and just
I mean,
it up. I was like,
it would be such a funny win for Mike if it was just, oh, I'm gone by. I mean, if you saw round one, I'm not sure if any of the audience saw it. I saw it when I was sat on my sofa listening to Ral do this before I got set up. Luke Sawyer and Oren. That was a fun little fight. Ral's getting very in it.
It was looking quite an entertaining fight because it was for P3 approaching the end of the race after their final pit stop. But all of a sudden, Oren just decided to disappear.
Oren Lally decided to be Oren Lally and get himself disconnected during the biggest fight of his probably career with Luke Sawyer. To be honest, I'm quite surprised Luke Sawyer isn't here today. I would really love to see a Triple Crown situation that isn't from our owner, Josh Woolley. But to be honest, we never know, truthfully. At the moment, all the series seem quite stacked. I've known with F1, obviously we had Chris's last season do an amazing job digging into that series. We've had with AC, we've got Jack Noller now, McLaren, I believe, development driver. Very much a big name in the BUSR, and currently in this race looks like Harris is matching that pace. Now, can Harris keep this consistency throughout the season? We'll have to find out. But who's leading so far in the series, Ralph, for LMP2 and GT3?
So for LMP2s, the leader is our race leader, Willow Harris, as he's taken the win in both round 1 of Spa-Francorchamps and round 2 of Imola, taking in 100 points at the moment and looks poised to get another 50 points here as long as he doesn't spin or put it into the wall, as hopefully there's no commentator's curse here. But for the GT3s, our leader is at the moment not racing, actually. Hayden Baxter, who's taken the win in both Spa-Francorchamps and Imola with 100 points, same as Willow for their category. But it's a closer fight, actually, between Hayden and second place Nikita. Also important to note that Alex Costa, who is racing in this race here at Barcelona, is third place with quite a gap of 28 points, but with a win taking in 50 points, he is within a shout of taking the lead of the championship for the GT3 category after this race.
That's very interesting. Also, out of interest, Michael has pitted, and it's suddenly looking a little bit dry, I would like to think. No, it isn't! I lied! Michael!
It dry in the pit lane.
Yeah! Well, sorry guys, you get wet. Welcome to the UK. But...
it looks like we've had a share of weather just the same.
Yeah, but that does tell me Mike's run out of fuel to some extent, surely.
Yeah, it looks like Mike just couldn't make it to the end of this wet period, if we're gonna have an end of the wet period for this race. But yeah, so far that could be their final stop of this race if the track stays as is, it doesn't dry up. Because the weather right now should be mostly cloudy. Maybe the sun not peeking out is definitely aiding in the track not drying up quicker than we thought it would.
For sure. And going back to that championship score, now we see Mike has just put on another set of wet tyres. What I'm thinking is Costa, will end up gaining on this championship due to this race, missing a good chunk of the competitors. It might just be a busy weekend. When I say weekend, it's a Monday. Wait, is it? Wait, what day is it, Raul? Wednesday.
No, it is. It's a Wednesday. It
is a Wednesday. Oh, it's too busy. But to be honest, if they do end up taking these points, P2 is obviously really good points. But where's John standing at the current moment?
At the moment, John is a little far back in 5th place, but he is poised to take the student class lead from Luke Sawyer for the GT3 category. But for the overall, he could take the overall points lead, depending on... Actually, Costa might take the overall after this race, and John B will take 2nd place as he is a little bit further back on 48 points. But if he does get this win, it will definitely help him with that fight against Luke Sawyer for the student class championship.
Definitely. Sorry to interrupt, Raul, but we've just seen Costa go into the pits. Are we about to see a dry tyre?
Is this a dry tire?
Please,
dry
please.
Tire?
Big money, big money, big money.
Dry tire?
Come on. He did pop up for a little minute. But that does mean all the cars will possibly lap Costa. So I wonder what the risk is being taken here. John is currently gaining and gaining and gaining. So the best strat would be to stay on the wet tyre. But I don't believe Costa would have run out of fuel, surely. Unless they didn't go for the fuel when they overtook John earlier in the race.
They did take fuel initially, but Costa just taking in a little bit more fuel here, just up to 92%, maybe 92% should be enough to get him to the end of the race. Maybe a little bit of saving, but it should be fine to just run the normal pace. But it looks like he's banking on the weather staying as is and getting a huge undercut here on John.
Yes, but I believe John can actually keep this fuel and just gun it. Because now he's got a 50-second gap. He lycos, so essentially if he just lifts and coasts through the whole thing, to be honest, fuel saving is a necessity at this point. And again, he's got 50 seconds to play with. Save himself probably 10 to 20 seconds of fuel. He'll most likely make it. So I don't truly know why Costa's gone for that play.
Yeah, considering he did have a lot of fuel, but I'm not entirely sure why Costa decided to go into the pits there to take more fuel, as it should be better for these cars to be lighter, but at the same time, Teroka is in the pits, and we are seeing dry tire.
Oh my god!
Dry tire.
Finally!
The weather wasn't lying.
I'm expecting big things now. I'm expecting major big things. I am sat in my chair now. I am no longer standing. This is going to be the moment.
This is quite exciting because Teruoka is the only one on dry tires at the moment. Is it too early for him to go onto the dry tires? But there is a dry line popping up in most of the corners so far. So this might be a win or fail. We'll have to see.
Well, I mean, if you were Teruoka right now, would you take that risk? I would say so. There's not much to lose. And I'm unsure, Raul, do these guys get a fastest lap point?
In terms of fastest lap, there shouldn't be a fastest lap point at the moment. There is qualifying points, but which will definitely help them with their overall charge for the leads of their respective championships. But yeah, no fastest lap points.
That's really unfortunate, because if I was I'm seeing them just pass each other at the moment. If I was basically Teruoka, I would be starting to consider that. But I don't know, maybe it's to see if they can pull a last-minute play with the pace. But they're lapped down, mind you. So remember, they've got to unlap themselves, pass Michael, and then come back round and pass Michael again. Terracotta has gone off in the first turn.
Make a mistake with the strategy, yeah.
Yeah,
looks like he just ran wide too early.
Yeah, his indicator's still saying wet on the right, but you know what?
I mean, I'm not too sure if it is wet, but it looks like it is.
Judging from that full lock, it might be. Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from the screen, that full lock definitely helps with.
Well, let's see how much they snap around. To be honest, if it is dry, that dry line puddles will be gone. To be honest, I'm not seeing many puddles, actually. Now we're kind of just running on the hood real quick. If we look at the curb on the left here, there was a deep settled puddle here, and it's gone. So I'm pretty certain it is getting drier, but not that fast.
Yeah, it looks like Terracotta just went into the pits way too early here. Let's see if he's just gonna stay out here on track, see if he can buy this time until it dries up. But so far, Harris is also into the pits. Might be taking a little bit of fuel. See if he switches on to the
dry tire. I want to see some fun, lads. Come on, let's do it.
Hopefully, if he does go into this wet tire, if he keeps it on the wet tire and then the track does dry up in the last 10 minutes or so, Terracotta could possibly be able to unlap himself and maybe catch up.
Well, currently Michael is gaining a lot of time on Harris, of course, due to the pit. However, I'm unsure if Michael has the pace to get that close in this time and also have enough fuel to possibly make the pass. And if Harris does go for the dry tyre, don't get me wrong, Michael will be closer. But unless it stays properly wet, Harris might be making a mistake here with the dry tyre. As we're looking back as well, John B is just gone. 50 seconds. We must have missed something there with Costa with that gap. But especially because that pit.
Dive to the pits.
Yeah, with that pit, it's going to make that bigger and bigger. But it's just getting worse. But it looks like Costa's losing a little bit of that consistency. I'm noticing some curb touching. I'm noticing a little bit of curling. But that might be because it's drying up. John is pushing, which I'm a little alarmed about, to be honest, with John pushing. And Harris hasn't taken the dry tyre, so playing it safe. But with John pushing it right now, he may actually run out of fuel and have to do a splash and dash. And so we'll need a bigger gap than this to keep it worth it.
Yeah, it just seems like John has decided that he is going to go for the pit stop because he does have that pit stop gap. But maybe he's also trying to slow down his times a bit in the sense that he wants to see if he has to go on the dry tires. But so far, John just great pace here over Costa on this track in these conditions, looking very strong. No mistakes, really. We haven't seen him go for a slide or anything at the moment.
Have you noticed something, Ro? Have you noticed something about the cars?
I am trying to figure it out at the moment, but
let's play spot the thing. That's quite interesting here. I'm going to say a word. You got to figure out what's missing from this car. Water.
Spray.
Yeah, no car on track at the moment, including the LMPs, is spraying water, meaning the track is looking hella dry. And so if we hop on to the onboard with Terracotta, we should see a slightly better lap. Now, currently speaking, let's see what the gap is coming out of T1, as that will give us the best indicator. Coming down now straight to T1 where the S's are. Slowly braking, just still being careful, of course, it's still a bit damp on track. Gets it hooked in quite nicely. Let's see how the throttle is coming out. It's a little bit better, a little bit wiggly, but still quite grippy. If they can hook it in a bit more, trying to get that oversteer snapped, going down again to get the revs out. It's trying to hook together. And to be honest, if this isn't a quicker lap, I'll be quite surprised. Again, there's no spray, it's drying up a bit, but obviously the track's probably a little cold and damp. That full lock isn't giving me confidence again, but we're getting there, and I think this will be where John B makes a huge difference. He's already pushing 27. In fact, he's actually catching the LMP car that is using dry tyres.
Yeah, this is a sight to see. Just seeing a GT3 car catching up to the LMPs. Well, we do understand that Teruoka is on the wrong set of tires here, but he is taking that gamble, and maybe that gamble, well, it seems like it hasn't paid off as he's just lost way too much time, as Harris is coming up to lap him once again, as Bender here is in a sandwich of these LMP2 cars. As let's see if he's gonna fight Harry's here for this position.
He's just a switchback.
just go for a little bit of switchback as he does make a move on Teruoka there,
Oh,
but
that's
Teruoka is
unfortunate.
not getting any grip at the moment on those dry tires as it is still quite wet.
However, have we just seen a mad one there? Mad blinder. Mike is on the dry tires.
Oh, Mike diving into the pits at the end of the race here for some dry tires as Teruoka isn't really having a good time at the moment. Maybe the track is way too greasy at the moment, but it
Straight line
looks
speed's
like
picking up.
John trying to defend into turn 1. Just dives it into the inside. He's saying, nope, you might be in an LMP2, but I have a McLaren here that's going to be as wide as a wall.
John has made that McLaren as wide as Fernando Alonso in 2021 at Hungary for Arcon. He's really fighting this LMP2, which, to be honest, probably shouldn't be happening, but it's not going to affect Sarah that often unless Mike suddenly loses a lot of time. Oh, big oversteer, a little bit on the grass. John is keeping it very planted and clean. So I wonder if we swap back to Michael real quick. How is he doing? We're seeing a little bit of wiggle, just a little bit. But he's keeping the gear okay. He's getting around the corner quite nicely. It's going to be this corner we see it, because we just saw there with Terra that it's a lot of full lock. So do we see the same from Michael here? We do!
Full lock once again. Just not having any grip for that corner specifically, despite the cars not really spraying any water. It looks like the track is dry, but the racing line is definitely greasy at the moment, which gives quite a little bit of an advantage to the wet tires.
Yeah, and we're seeing as well, even though Harris is running a little bit of the wet line, a little bit of the dry line, still quicker by a good mile. The grip is there in the wet tires. They're heated up. They're ready to go. And to be honest, I don't know if this game does this that much, but it may be a semi-slick situation where it's feeling almost like dry tires with a wet setup. We're seeing here with Harris just being a lot more confident in the S's, grabbing it and throttling out because he knows there's track grip and heat to play with, whereas Mike and Terra seem to be a bit shaking coming out of it. With Mike going off.
Mike had a spin.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. Does that bring Terra back into the mix? Do we have a look? Not really. There's still a minute gap.
It's still quite a big gap between Terra and Mike. But so far, well, the story of the races for the the LMP2s is Harry's just being more consistent, not spinning into a wall. Definitely helped them build this lead and just staying on the correct tires at the correct time. Looks like other people just really took a gamble, see if it can work out for them at the end. But for the GT3s, John B just being consistent. 14% left fuel. He will definitely have to go for a quick pit stop for fuel and make the end, but Costa is going to be chasing him down as the end of the race does go on. 46 seconds. Definitely the gap has increased as John B just strong in the wet and strong in these changeable conditions.
Definitely, and we're seeing still Terra's being matched by that GT3, which is unheard of, and that means these tyres are not up to standard. So John's got to make the decision here and the call. What do I do when I pit? Could I A, hold and pray I make it, or do I B, go for those dry tyres? To be honest, in this instance, it's looking a bit gloomy, it's looking a bit dark, the track's still wet. Give it a lap, I reckon John will pit and just keep his tyres and just do a little splash and dash to hold.
Yeah, what's important as well to know is that despite Harris being on the wet tires compared to the medium dry tires for Mike and Tiroka, is that Harry's is definitely gonna start feeling some overheating on these tires as the sun is starting to come out, and about time that it does help dry the track up. But Harry's is gonna start suffering from overheating. Same with the GT3 cars that are on the wet tires. But yeah, Mike and Teroka, especially Teroka, after pitting too early for those tires, his dry tires are gonna be cold, so he still will struggle in this race.
I am noticing a little bit more grip though for Terra. If you see here, they still are going full up and braking to get that turn in. But you can hear the tyres trying to grip up the track, so there's a little bit more going on there. Whereas with John, it's still very planted. Considering he's only on 8% fuel, he can make that gap kind of slightly big, even though he doesn't really need to. It's just a bit of fun now racing Terra. And just kind of get a splash and dash. To be honest, we'll probably only need 20%. And there's a 46-second gap. Now, I am a little concerned, because Costa has kind of overfueled it, in my opinion. But if John does overfuel it or makes any mistake coming into the pits now, this may bite him.
Yeah, the gap isn't really changing that much now as Costa is slowly coming in, but if it does get to a drier point, then maybe if John goes for dry tires, then maybe, as he dives into the pits, we will see here now if there is going to be a change in strategy as Costa is definitely going to start pushing as he sees John dive into the pits in his leaderboard.
Yeah, so I mean, we may as well sit on lap with Costa and see how much they start pushing the car, knowing that gap is there. Because if that was me, I would be eagerly trying to get that gap down as quick as possible. But John's now in the green safe zone, to be honest, and can probably pull out of the pitch now. We're seeing here, if we go straight back to John, John is now pretty much finished fueling and has just got that moment where he's got to wait to be released. But Costa is gaining, and I mean very quickly, and there's no need for Costa to pit, but John is coming out the pits. Let's see how close this is between the two.
Slight wiggle from Costa there. He did have to go full opposite lock, but he is coming up to the final corner as John B still has a great gap as he's out of the pits now, and looks like he is well to keep this first place from Costa at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We can see Costa down on the straight just back there, trying the best to get there. But that 6-second gap is there. However, there is a slight advantage here. Costa will have warmer tyres. And to be honest, John having that momentary break may take his consistency down, but it won't be by much. And to be honest, Costa's got another problem coming with Harris trying to get on the inside. Hopefully it's nice and easy, but that will delay him just the tiniest bit. Looking here, Mike is having troubles against John. Here's a bit of a scrap you never see. John going around the outside
like John's
of the LMP.
Outside of
and he's
Mike.
made the move! What in the world? Look at that
Maybe
gap.
they've hidden a different engine behind the McLaren as we just see John making moves on LMP2 cars. Well, let's just ignore the fact that they are on the wrong set of tires, but John definitely making moves here and there on LMP2 cars.
But that definitely shows the difference in tire depth and degradation. Degradation? Deterioration. Because what's happening here is there's not a lot of things going on here. As Mike gets shown the blue flag for Harris, meaning Harris has officially lapped both LMP cars twice, making that 2 in LMP2. It's very impressive to see what Harris has pulled off here. And Harris will most likely get past John. I would like to think so, unless John's feeling brave and virtuous, of course. Here we go.
Hopefully a dive into turn 1.
Yeah, it would be quite nice if John just suddenly pulls a blinder. Let's have a look, shall we?
As we see John here diving into the slipstream of that LMP2 car. Has a look into the inside, but thinks better of it. Much better of it. and not make a move on an LMP2 car. But so far, John just keeping it consistent. Costa is not falling far behind in terms of how fast he's falling behind, but just a few tenths here and there definitely adds up in a race stint. And John just being more consistent than Costa, it seems like, or just having that few tenths of a second extra pace when he needs it.
Yeah. But what I like watching is Michael getting angry with the warm tyres here and the dry tyre. Is you can tell he's eagerly wanting to pass John back after that little bit of John B moments, is what I'd like to call it, a John B special. So on that front, I think we should see how Mike does using these dry tyres coming into the last 5 minutes. To be honest, Harris is kind of broken away from the pack, 2 laps across. Hasn't got any major worries from what I could tell, unless they decide to spin it 5 times. So this is the fight of the century, really, we need to watch. John and Mike, which is going to be quite interesting because Mike's finding trouble getting around the corners, but John is finding better cornering. His Mike's scratching the tyres, trying to just get any heat in there as possible, but it's still very slow coming out. But of course, that straight line speed's going to be different. As we see here, Mike goes around the corner, has to lift a bit because the car isn't gripping properly. Maybe more downforce could have sufficed, but obviously that would put the car into a bit of a lower momentum. But here we go, coming down the straight then. How much time do they gain on John? Should we have a look, shall we?
Yeah, it looks like Mike is just gaining and gaining in this long straight, but John just has that tire advantage as we try to see if Mike can just heat up the tires enough so that it does grip, because it's looking very sunny here, and hopefully he can start pulling the gap a little bit and maybe force a pit stop out of Harris, but looks like it's just set in stone that the finishing order is going to be this way.
However, Michael is trying his best. You can tell. He's not full locking it as much here as well. He's getting on the throttle a little bit earlier, trying to get it hooked up a lot better compared to what Terra was having earlier against John. Even there, not really full lock, a little more than you would usually give, but enough to make it work. And this could be the opportunity to redeem themselves against John. I'd like to think so, as it's never fun getting passed by a GT3 due to your tyre strategy.
Yeah, looks like the track is just slowly coming into play here now. Mike is not full locking the same amount as before. Looks like it's just tire temperature that's kind of holding him back here as the McLaren just gets bigger and bigger in the screen of Mike here. But the corner's definitely struggling here for this LMP2 car, as a little bit of a wobble, a little bit of a lock here as well, just to get the car turned in, just to make the corner. But so far, the car is starting to comply. The car is starting to respond. The tires are finally getting there, and John seems a little bit closer on this lap. Is this the crossover point between the wet and dry tires?
I mean, it's quite fun watching it from this perspective, as you can see the physical gain that's happening. But again, it's that cornering. John just seems to have a lot more in the corners compared to Mike. With Mike missing some of the apexes there and having to oversteer to get that correction, to get it tighter and tighter into that corner, which isn't going to make it perfect, but it's getting close. Coming round the corner here, big right bend, trying to scrub the speed as best they can, get the throttle down, trying to gain on John coming into this corner. John's going to take a wide line to get in, whereas Michael's going to be very cautious, hold the brakes, get it a little tight on the steering. Going to throttle out, get brave. There we go, Michael's getting brave. I can see John wiggling up front as well. This is going to be quite good, I think.
Yeah, Mike just looks like he has, lap by lap, he's getting more grip in each corner, and John is just suffering here now because it is the crossover point as John is slowly falling closer and closer to Mike. But at the moment, John just keeping it ahead of Mike. Mike trying to see if he can catch up, but so far, Costa, if we go back to the actual GT3 fight, just fell behind here as Mike is in the slipstream now. He is having a look. Is John going to defend? He's slightly goes wide, trying to get that better run into this hairpin. As we can see, as John taking that wide line, trying to find the wet part of the track, just trying to see if he can get his tires to cool down as Mike is there. Mike is being shown. Mike is showing himself in the mirrors of John here, as Mike is definitely getting more grip now compared to earlier, and John is gonna have to concede this one despite him wanting to stay ahead.
Don't count out John yet. Obviously, the track has dried up. It's giving Michael so much more immense speed. But again, there still will be wet patches. This is an environment where it does develop. However, it depends on how Michael takes these corners. Looking pretty similar for the S's, actually. But again, Michael's able to scrub a lot more speed here compared to John. I think this is Michael's redemption arc for John's pass, because now he's got the straight line speed with the dry tyres.
Yeah, looks like Mike is gonna get the final laugh here. He's basically said, "Oh, if you think you can stay ahead of me in a GT3 car, I would love to see you try." But yeah, just Mike finally getting the tires fired up. Those full locks coming into effect now, but Harris 2 laps ahead, looks poised to take this win here with 1 minute 22 seconds left. And coming up to the final turn, approaching possibly the final lap. It should be the final lap, depending if we do have a +1 here. But yeah, Harris looks well and clear to take this win, unless he puts it in the wall. Hopefully not, for our sake of commentary and trying to break the curse. You know.
But it does look like Harris is just having it swell. He's heard the message, he's heard the commentators and gone, oh yeah, no, I do agree, we maybe do need that consistency. He's been consistent throughout the last spin. And to be honest, with the pace he's at, currently at 35 seconds left of the race, he will end up completing the lap 2 laps ahead of Michael and Terra and the GTs. It's been quite an interesting one. We found so many different levels and so many parts of this that's been so interesting to watch. We've seen John B be a madman and fight things he shouldn't be fighting and ignore the blue flags, which may end up getting a bit bitten in the stewarding, but otherwise it's fine. We've seen spins and gashes and cool pit lane exits from the GT3s, and I think it's just been a wonderful race, hasn't it, Ra?
Yeah, so far, there has been entertainment in the sense of seeing spins, seeing crashes into the wall. It became very interesting once the tires did come into play, as we saw in GT3 versus an LMP2 for quite some time there. But yeah, Harris, just name of the game, consistency, as he comes up here to the line, possibly for the final time, takes it, weaves, and goes for his 3rd win in a row in this championship.
Congratulations to Harris. Brilliant racecraft, keeping it clean, trying to make sure that that spin doesn't happen again. And it's just made an amazing job of this race for sure. Coming round as well, we've got the other cars kind of just getting through now, with Mike being the last one, currently about 4 corners behind where Harris has just finished, showing how big of a gap Harris had built, playing the strategy right with that wet tyre. But we do see Mike cross the line for the P2 spot. Coming into this as well, was I right about John's fuel? Little bit right, little bit wrong. John is coming around the final corner now, perfectly flat, perfectly clean. Good grip everywhere, good play, good pit stop strategy and good overtaking, and fights, flashing his lights in celebration, and John takes P1 for the GT3s, giving it a little celebrational wiggle. Costa will be coming around soon, most likely, with Terra also finishing off at the current moment. Otherwise, it's been a brilliant race. I think this has been a good one. It's been my first commentating with Rao, and I think, Rao, you could agree, even with the short amount of people, which we do want to gain on in the BUSR, I think it's been pretty solid, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been very strong at the meantime. Despite having a short grid, everyone showed their pace, especially consistency-wise. Hopefully we do get more people. And if you do have LMU Le Mans Ultimate, please, and is interested in racing or finding a league, you can hop over to Grid Finder, join BUSR, as we do accept people here.
Yeah,
And
again, as well, just to kind of add to what Wells just said there, is we're not just British universities in racing, we do have international students, we do have students of different universities in different countries. So if you are looking to join a league that takes LMU, F1, Assetto Corsa, and some rally content and iRacing quite seriously in the past, please go ahead and join. On that front, then, we're going to hop straight back to our caster view, and we're just going to have a bit of a talk while we wait for our interviewers. I believe, Raul, I might be wrong, but you can tell me if I'm right. We're going to interview Harris and John B, I believe.
yeah, we're ready to interview. Let's bring in Harris first as the winner for LMP2s.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Hello there, Harris. How did you find the race so far?
That was interesting to say the least. A game of survival, I think it was, across the entire race.
Yeah, we saw
yeah,
you
good
spin
one.
in lap 1 earlier. What were the thoughts that were going through your mind when you had that spin?
I mean, just try and recover. I know that everyone else is going to be struggling just as much as I am, because we've all got the same conditions. In my head, I'm just thinking more just you need to get your head down, get on with it. As long as you don't make any mistakes, you'll be fine. That's kind of the mentality that you had to have across the entire race, and I think it showed quite well.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
Harris,
very consistent.
you did, like Raul just said, you were very consistent. One thing I'd say that I noticed, especially early on with the GT3s, but also now the LMPs, what made you go, I'm not going on the dry tyre? Was it constantly wet out there? Was it just confidence? Tell me about it.
Well, my main thinking was, so I had when Enzo came out the pits, when they switched onto the dry tires, I only had one lap of fuel left. So I was thinking, I need to keep my eye dead on that delta to know whether it's time for dries or whether I stick for another set of wets. And I was catching by at least like 3 seconds across the lap, and I'm thinking, yeah, there's not a chance it's ready for dries yet. So that was the main deciding factor, but I felt that I was still comfortable on the wets anyway, so I just didn't think it was worth it, not with the gap that I had. And the way that I drive, I'm pretty certain that if I put the dries on, I would put it in the wall.
Well, I think that was a good call. As well, just just talking about how you feel about it now, because I'm aware that you're currently leading, if I'm correct. How are you feeling leading this championship moving forward on? And I know you race in some of the other series as well, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just here to have fun. So long if I'm winning, then it's just an added bonus. I'm having fun getting to socialize with people that I don't normally, getting to play on a game that I don't normally. If it means I'm competitive, then yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, we're here for fun. So
Well, we'll send Rallin upon you, but thank you so much for the interview. Have a good one and keep winning.
thank you. Yeah,
No
you too.
worries.
Thank you.
All right, congrats.
Thank you.
All right, let's see if we can drag John B here as our GT3 winner.
Well, that's a great noise to start off.
That is an entry if we've ever heard one. Oh yeah, congrats on your GT3 class win. I think that's your first for the season. if I'm correct.
Overtake on the LM. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah. Overtake on the LM core.
I think one of the LMP2s had dries, so he was struggling at the end, I would say. But overall, it was a great race.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, Ralph, you got any questions, really?
I'd say, did you ever think about putting on the dry tires at the end of that race there, or were you just comfortable with keeping it on the same tires?
Originally, I thought at some point that I had to switch to dries, but I think later on in the race, like, there was no dry line forming, and it seemed to take quite a while to sort of get to optimal conditions. So it was just easy to just change wets every single time, because I think the other GT3 decided to double stint, and that went adversely to how I was going, I would say.
Yeah. We saw that you lost the lead for a moment there during the pit stops. What was the difference in strategies that formed there?
Ah, I see. So in LMU, well, in WEC in general, you fill the car up first, then you change tires. And it's usually about 12 seconds thereabout. So I think Costa decided to double stint and not change tires, just add fuel, which in the short term, you'll be ahead of me, but like if you're not changing your wets every single stint, you will struggle in the long run. And I think at the end he ended up I think his second pit stop, he changed for a brand new set of wets, but by then the gap was already too far, I would say.
Yeah,
And
you did build quite
I
a
think
gap
on
there.
the dries as well, like I'm not the quickest driver, but when it comes to wet in mixed conditions, that's usually where I shine.
Oh, we
Yeah.
definitely saw you shine on this track here.
Oh yeah. I mean the move on Mike. Tell us about that. That just seemed fun.
I mean, I was kind of confused originally. I think it was Enzo that changed to dries, because I think one of my friends was telling me that on stream that they said he changed to dries. I'm not too sure. But when it comes to LMPs, you're running traction control, yeah, but you're not running ABS, and especially in these conditions, you have to be super careful not to lock up. So
Definitely.
I think that's kind of what happened there. And at the same time, it felt much more easier for me to get the power down, especially in the final sector. But yeah, overall, it was a good fight, even though it was multi-class.
But yeah, he got you back, and we saw you were defending in one instance, and we just thought that was ace. We had a great time.
Him and I were on the same lap, so anything goes at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
No blue flags.
Yeah.
Overall, fun race. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great race. Congrats on taking student lead.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got student lead. Look at you go.
After this.
I had that last season at one point as well. Fingers crossed to actually make it to the end.
Do not get yourself
Are you gonna be
a
missing any
penalty.
races?
I doubt I'll be able. I doubt I'm missing any. Like I've got all the DLCs. It should be fine. It's a matter if I remember to log in and practice, because I came like the last time I raced Barcelona was ACC in like 2019, maybe a bit later, but it's been a long time since I've touched Barcelona, and I had maybe half an hour to an hour of practice, and it was mainly in the dry, I would say.
Do you think
But
you'll end
overall,
up?
I'm still happy at the end.
Do you think you end up with a little bit of a slap on the wrist for ignoring blue flags, or you're gonna be all right because Mike got you back?
I mean, it got me in the end, but how do I say this? Like, there was no damage, no collision. I don't think there's anything to worry about, and I'm not too sure if he was racing for position within that time frame, because that's usually what matters most.
Definitely, definitely. Well, on that note then, John, thank you so much. Congrats on your GT3 win, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Right. I guess on that note then, Raul, we're pretty much done, aren't we? We've done everything we can here today.
Yeah, very interesting race, as the weather has lied to us, as the forecast has lied to us.
Take some of our sunlight. Like, it is just boiling out here for anyone who's watching. But yeah, it was an interesting one. We saw some heartbreaks. We saw some passes. We saw some interesting fights against classes we shouldn't have. But yeah, I think it's a job well done. Will you say so, Ralph?
Yeah, definitely a job well done for every single one of our drivers.
Self-insert. We love it. Okay. On that note then, guys, I think we're going to let you guys go. So thank you guys so much for watching the stream. Hopefully you'll be back seeing us Wednesdays. I'm temporary, so Raul will be here, hopefully with our best commentator, I'd say, Weltram. But otherwise, hope you all have a good day. Have a good one.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye-bye.